Well, if you want a good relationship, if you want to stay married, if you want to...
Well, who wants to be in a bad relationship?
Right. These are just some things that we have to do that maybe don't come natural for us, but we can learn. Like a lot of the stuff we have learned over 40 years. It didn't come natural in the beginning. We didn't know how to do it in the beginning of our relationship, but, we read, we learned, we got teaching, we did a lot of self-growth, self-help, books, and had our own personal growth so that we could relate to each other. So that we could continue to connect.
80% of the win is awareness.
Welcome to the Daniele Hage Podcast. I'm your host, Daniele Hage. Daniele is my mother-in-law and Nini to my 3 girls. She has over 40 years experience in family and marriage relationships. She's been married for 43 years to Steve Hage, who travels the world preaching the gospel, and together they pastor church in Laguna Niguel, California. So we had such an incredible response from when Steve Hage was on last time that we invited him back.
Yes.
So will you tell us what you guys talked about this time?
Yeah, so because I think it's really good to get a man's perspective on some of the stuff that we're talking about. And so we are going to talk about common conflicts amongst couples. This is stuff that everybody has to deal with. Yes. And it's some of the main things that couples argue and fight about. So we're gonna unpack that for you.
Yeah, this is a good one. So stay tuned.
Okay, so today we are going to talk about some common conflicts between couples that pretty much everybody has to deal with at some point in their life if they have been married or in a relationship longer than 2 minutes.
Yeah, so like we were talking off camera how conflicts are the door that lies come through.
Right.
And we don't really, if we don't know how to resolve the conflict, we don't know how to shut the door. And then once we believe a lie, attach our belief to the lie, then it takes our relationship into an unhealthy place. And so there are differences between men and women, right?
Right.
And those differences, when they're not understood, create conflict.
Absolutely.
And then if we don't know how to, in a healthy way, resolve conflict, then we begin to attach our belief to the introduction of the lies about the differences.
Right.
They're just differences. They're not offenses. They're not attacks. They're not personal. They're just differences. But when we don't understand differences, we take the differences personal. When we take the differences personal, that's the lie. Right. And then it takes the relationship into a place that you don't want it to go in.
Right. And some of those lies look like, you don't love me. Because if you loved me, you wouldn't do that.
Right.
If you loved me, you would
listen.
That's
the lie.
So you don't love me. Yeah. And starting to believe those things like, I'm not enough. She doesn't respect me. He doesn't listen to me.
So
those are the lies.
The lie that I don't love you is attached to the fact that I'm single focused and you're not.
Right. Silly
The lie that I don't love you is attached to I'm visual way more than you.
Right.
The lie that gets attached to he doesn't love me or he doesn't love me because he doesn't listen to me. Right. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about those. Okay. Let's talk about single focus.
Okay. So let me tell you a story that I always use because it was so perfect to relate to the single focus. Okay. So I'm sitting in my office. Steve is in the kitchen. There's a staircase in the middle of the house. I can see the staircase. I leave the laundry hamper that's heavy, full of clean clothes on the staircase because I know he's going from the kitchen upstairs and he'll pick up the heavy hamper. So I don't have to. So I'm working in my office and pretty soon I hear him upstairs and I look at the staircase and still there's the big heavy hamper. And so I go, Steve.
No, you go, really?
Is that what
really?
I said? And he comes,
like, what?
He comes over the banister and he goes, what? And I said, really? You couldn't pick the hamper up and take it with you?
You put it right in the middle.
You had to climb over it.
No, I had to go around it.
You couldn't even go around it. You literally had to climb over it. Don't tell me you didn't see it.
No, I didn't see it. I mean, I'm upstairs and I hear, in a high-pitched Freddy Krueger voice.
Shriek.
The Wicked Witch of the West. And really? So like peppered with disapproval and inadequacy.
And what did you say? I said, you couldn't take the hamper up for me? And you go,
what hamper?
What hamper? I could not believe it. And then, do you remember what you said?
I want you to say it, so in case I don't say it right.
He said, all you had to do is ask. Yeah. Sure, I'll take it up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that is the difference between single focus and multitasking. Right. I can do 3 things, focus on 3 different things at one time. What I'm studying, the hamper, the fact that he doesn't love me because he didn't take it up.
I mean, what about that couple? What about that couple that was talking to you this past week or whenever it was? And the girl is like, if I didn't have the single focus teaching and understood that about my husband, they got a couple kids or whatever, and I would have never been able to have a healthy resolve of this situation. He leaves his clothes, or what? Tell the story. Yeah, it was great.
They were actually kind of coaching another young couple, and she's been under my teaching for 10, 15 years. And now since she was a teenager, now she's married with 3 kids. And so with her husband there, she said, men are single focus and they don't see stuff laying on the floor. They might walk right past it because they never even saw it because it wasn't within their focus. And don't be upset. Don't become the nag. Don't get that way. She goes, I just pick up the dirty sock and put it in the hamper because he didn't even see it. I'm not mad at him. And when they got home, the husband said to her, you do that for me? You pick up after me? He goes, I didn't even know. I didn't remember I left my dirty clothes.
That's the hilarious part.
And the fact that I didn't even know you were picking up after me. And he said, I just fell in love with you all over again.
Yeah, and what's hilarious to me is, number one, he didn't notice the sock and underwear and T-shirt and jeans and tennis shoes all piled up. He didn't notice that it was there. He didn't notice that she picked it up. He didn't notice that he left it there. And then he hears that she did that, and it the reflex response was, "Aw."
Yeah. And you do that too, where I'll say, so Steve, did you notice that in the bedroom I folded all that stuff that you had laid there and I cleaned it out and I organized your desk? He'll go, you did?
No.
Like he didn't see the mess to begin with. And so how could he notice that it was organized?
And my response isn't, I love you more. I'm like, quit touching my stuff. But anyway.
And then a woman's response could be, see, you don't appreciate me. You don't appreciate those little things that I do for you. Right. When it has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with what he sees and what a woman sees. We see things very differently.
So how do we practically introduce self-talk as a woman? Because I'm not going to become less single focused.
Right. I think.
And you don't want me to.
I think what the reason we're talking about these things is to give the opposite sexes an understanding. It's not personal to you. It's not personal to you that he is single focused and he doesn't see
it's a benefit to you.
Okay. He's single focused on his work, his job, or on providing. And that's a really good thing. Mm-hmm. So that's just one of the major
But so in your mind, you need to be like, I need to, women need to say, look, I'm going to empower that single focused attribute in my man, because that is going to result in the kill.
Right.
That's going to result in the provision. So I don't want to distract him over to the hamper while he's trying to close the deal.
Right. Or maybe, and I know there's going to be comments and women are going to say, well, what if it's not that he's single focused on providing. What if he's watching the NFL?
It's the same thing.
And I would say, yes, don't try to talk to your man. Don't try to distract him when he's watching a good game or a good movie. That's not the time to interrupt him.
I'm watching some movie or something, and it's the you're gonna find out who the killer is. You're gonna find out who the guy and Danielle wants to talk about the comments on her doggone podcast, and I'm about to find out who's been killing all these people. And here she sits down and goes, guess what this person said? And then you can't pause it because it's going to lose the momentum. And it's like, you have got to be kidding right now. And then she's like,
fine.
Fine.
You don't care about me.
I'll go call someone else. So anyway.
And I know better than to take that
doesn't happen very often.
But there's moments where I'm like, this is really important to me. You don't want to hear this?
It's important to me, but I got to find out who's killing these people.
So we have decided to partner with Strong Cell.
Awesome.
Because we've been using Strong Cell for a year maybe? And we like it. And I just have to say, for me, I mean, I'm 62 years old And I feel like I have all kinds of energy. I
Right.
don't get that afternoon slump. I know so many people that'll say, oh my gosh, I just got to take a cat nap or I need another cup of coffee. I drink one cup of coffee in the morning. Rarely do I need a second coffee in the afternoon. What I notice is that like my day starts out, I will get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I go work out for an hour at the gym. I'll do 30 minutes cardio, 30 minutes weightlifting. Then from there, I go straight to pickleball, play for an hour, hour and a half. And from there on some days, not every day, I go straight to swim my laps. And I'll swim anywhere between 50 and 80 laps.
Yeah.
And then I come home and have my coffee and I feel amazing. I feel great. And then just the other day, did all those things and sat for 6 hours in my office preparing a teaching that I had to do. And it wasn't until 1 o'clock in the afternoon, finally the hunger pang broke through my focus and said, oh, I need to eat. And I don't know, but I think taking Strong Cell has just given me that energy that, I don't know. I feel like I can focus and I love it. I don't want to be without it. I'm going to be using it forever.
I have the same experience, same commentary. I'm 66 years old. I'm a gym guy, and I can tell the extra bit that it provides an overall sense of well-being. My joints aren't hurting. I'm light on my feet. I'm ready to go. I'm focused in my office. And we haven't been sick since we've been taking this. And I mean, not even a cold, not even a sniffle, not even a headache for me. And so all I know is this is a game changer for us.
Yeah.
And we're health conscious people, but Strong Cell has really changed our lives for the better, the quality of life, the way we feel, the way we roll, what we do. And I don't know if it's a miracle in a bottle or whatever it is, but I really want to recommend everybody who's hearing our voice. There's some kind of special that Strong Cell's providing people that
if you're interested, go to strongcell.com. You'll get lots more information there. Strongcell.com/Dani, D-A-N-I.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you use the discount code Dani, D-A-N-I 20, you will get 20% off and try it for just 30 days and see if it doesn't change something in you.
I bet after 2 or 3 weeks, you're going to be like, whoa, well, I can't really put my finger on what's going on here, but my overall sense is elevated and
something good.
And I think that this will contribute to a healthy lifestyle, and it'll really give you a boost. So get busy and get it.
Okay, so another area.
So there's single focus, and then there's visual.
Yes. Oh, this is a big one.
Okay, so
this is a big one.
There's a difference, single focus and visual, but they go hand in hand.
Yes, men are designed to be visual. It's the way their brains literally are set up.
Mm-hmm.
It's the way their biology is set up. It is not their fault, okay? So ladies, you don't have to be upset. They cannot help but notice a beautiful woman. They can't help but notice body parts. I mean, it's real. They just, it's
cool
part of
cars.
part of their DNA.
Yeah.
But the thing that women get upset about is when you notice another woman.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't get upset when you notice a cool car or a pretty sunset. What upsets them is when a man in our presence notices another woman. Now, I am not saying that I wouldn't be upset if Steve was like drooling, staring at some gorgeous woman. If he was going up and trying to find a way to talk to her, I wouldn't want that. I'm not saying that's okay. And yes, that would be disrespectful. But what I am saying is there's times when you will catch your husband or your boyfriend glancing at somebody that walked by that was maybe very sexy looking, or, body parts maybe very well endowed. And they can't help but notice. It's the very thing that causes him to be a good hunter, that causes him to spot a deal, that causes him to spot danger. Okay. So it's just the way our brains are set up. Now, let me just ask you this question, and then I want to tell you a quick story. Would it upset you if I was noticing other men, a good-looking man?
No.
Okay. Would it upset you? Are you sure? Like, what if I said, oh, my God, that guy, his abs, unbelievable.
I would want to go find out how he got those abs.
Okay. But for some men,
I'd put my Ben and Jerry's down and go talk to them. I don't know. No, but I'm past those.
Yeah.
I don't.
Well, and I think because
I'm not
all
threatened.
of our education and training, and we're older now, we understand that this is just a difference between men and women. One of the reasons women get upset when their husband notices is because it's her instincts kick in. That fight or flight or freeze thing. Her instincts kick in and tell her, this is not going to sound rational to any of you, especially you men, but her instincts tell her, if that woman is more pleasing than me, you might save her should danger show up. Okay? Irrational. What would a man say about that?
What, if you notice another guy?
No, if another woman shows up and you like her better than me, you're not going to save me. You're going to save her.
Yeah, that's nuts.
That's ridiculous to you, right?
No, it's nuts.
It's nuts. Okay.
It's not ridiculous.
Yeah. Men would say
it's higher than ridiculous. It's nuts.
Right.
Like, seriously, you're the mother of my children. You're the grandmother of my grandchildren. And I'm going to dump you for the girl that just walked in the yogurt shop. Are you freaking kidding me right now?
Yeah.
And so, but you treated me like I kicked you to the curb, threw your yogurt on top of you, and picked her up and threw her in the Porsche.
Let me tell you a story, because I told you that story.
Come
okay,
on.
So we're sitting there. Now, I have this knowledge about men are visual. So we're sitting in a yogurt shop. We're facing each other. Windows are here. I see a car pull up. He's facing me. He doesn't see it. And this really cute girl, white tank top, very well figured. Let's just say that.
I don't remember this at all.
I'm thinking to myself, we're in this conversation, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, the door's behind me. She has to walk past the window, and behind me, she's going to walk in the door. I can't wait to see what my husband does. I know he can't help but look. I know it. I couldn't help but look when I saw her. So I am dying because I'm going to crack up. So sure enough, we're talking. She walks in behind me, and I see his eyes go. And I go like this. I go, she's cute, huh? And he goes, it's like your face was like, ugh, I'm caught. Like, he couldn't help it. You weren't trying to. Now I know you have your excuses. Go ahead. What's your excuse?
No,
Like?
finish the story.
He goes, no, what? He goes, I thought I knew her. And I go, honey, we don't know her. I thought it was funny because he knows he got caught. And I want ladies to understand that men feel bad about their instinct to notice and to look. Most men know they're going to be in trouble. They don't want to get caught looking because they know that's a no-no, because most women are very sensitive to that. And I just told you why, because of our instincts. Again, not rational, but for some women are very sensitive to that. So for men, you just have to be sensitive to her sensitivity.
Yeah, well, I was more worried about listening to the "Why did you look" for the 30-minute drive home. Just like, oh God, as if I got enough game to win that girl.
Yeah.
No, it's like, it wasn't anything like, it was just like, it's important that you don't take that stuff personal.
Exactly.
And it's important that I don't let that go someplace in my imagination that is going to be damaging to our situation. But yeah, we were engaged in a conversation, and you noticed
that noticed.
And then you're going to like, okay, let's see if he passed this test, and then fail.
No, I knew you'd fail it.
Danger, Will Robertson, danger.
That's the funny part.
Okay.
All right. So next conflict. Where else okay, let's talk about this for a second, because this is another thing that really got some pushback from the women, is that men relate very differently to their feelings than women relate to their feelings. Okay. So the way that when you're emotional or you have a feeling, because yes, men feel, and yes, men have emotions, but what do you do with your feelings? If you're upset, or if you're angry, or how do you deal with your feelings?
So how do I deal with my negative feelings?
Yeah.
Or my conflicted feelings?
Yeah.
Because I don't try to deal with my joyful feelings.
Right.
I let them play out.
Mm-hmm.
But when
how do you manage?
I try to cerebrally take truth.
Good.
Interrupt the feeling that I'm having by investigating the thought that produced the feeling.
Right.
So this is the dynamic I go through in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm having a negative emotion. I'm having a fearful emotion. I'm having a frustrated, angry, rejected, devalued, dismissed emotion about somebody. Or I'm experiencing a situation that way. And then it produces this negative feeling. I've trained myself over the years to not give in to the feeling, feel the feeling, but let it trigger me to go investigate what I'm thinking that's causing the feeling.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is the way I, as a man, deal with my relationship to myself.
Okay.
Then I will locate the lie.
Mm-hmm.
What's producing the fear? What's producing the anger? What's producing the rejection? Some lie that says her decision or that decision said this about me. Okay. No, your decision says something about you. It doesn't say anything about me. I don't have to take your decisions about me personal.
Good.
What you think about me is none of my business. What I think about me, what God thinks about me, is what I ultimately need to align myself with that creates emotional stability. And then stability translates for a man into ability. So if I don't have stability, I don't have ability. And I ultimately want to have ability to do what I'm supposed to do as a man. So the emotional, activity has got to align with cerebral principles and thoughts that are true, that are based on what my value system is and where it comes from.
That's really good. Okay, what do you do when a woman, let's say me or one of your daughters, is upset or emotional or on an emotional roller coaster? How do you deal with a woman who's really upset?
So sometimes the challenge is how much bandwidth I have for your emotional display or the unpacking of whatever it is that you need to unpack that's charged with emotion. So sometimes I have a bandwidth issue. Like, okay, I've been listening to this described 13 different ways from Sunday. I got it after the first time. And what actually are you looking for by, bringing this to my attention? Do you want resolve? Do you want me just to hold the basket so you can and I can throw it away after? What actually is my role in being the receiver of your emotional activity? So many times, if the relief isn't coming to you, you're upset and it's coming and it's coming and it's not getting better. The more you talk, it's not getting better. I have to say to myself, and I say this on the inside, my love for you that's patient and kind and long-suffering and all that has got to exceed my bandwidth to listen. So I have to go above my bandwidth and go, look, I have got to make a decision to keep listening, even if I'm not hearing. She doesn't want me to solve anything. She just got to get this out. And for whatever reason, my bandwidth gave out long time ago, but my love never fails. Right. So your love doesn't give out, your bandwidth gives out. Right. But you can choose love that will allow you to continue in the conversation or keep listening. So that doesn't happen very often with you because you're less emotional than me.
True.
I'm the emotional one. You're the, kind of person. But there are times when you're having emotions and not even negative emotions. You just want to tell me stories and I just don't have the bandwidth. I've got to talk to myself into moving into love and not limit myself to my bandwidth at that moment.
And this is something that we've had to practice because we understand. He understands women. I understand men. I try to say what I have to say quickly, specifically, get to the point, because I know that men can't listen to that many words for that length of time. But then there are times where I just got to process and I'll say, I know there's no big solution. I don't want you to fix that. I kind of already know the answer. I just got to process out loud. I'm an external processor most of the time, and he's a really good listener. The reason that this is important is because he listens, I feel heard, I feel seen, I feel like I have a voice, and it makes me feel safe with him.
So connection is usually the result of verbal exchange.
Yes.
Okay.
I
I mean,
agree.
that's the way women connect, and maybe guys my age, that's how we connect.
Mhm.
We are verbal. I'm a verbal guy. I'm a speaker. So I use words. So the option, and I like connecting.
Mhm.
I like connecting. So we're not going to connect unless we're talking
Right.
and listening. So that's why it's important in my mind to have conversation.
Right. But for some men, because there's a lot of men who aren't as verbal, and it's in generally speaking. Now, he's kind of the exception to the rule. Men who are artistic, who are more right-brained, poets, writers, preachers, speakers, they tend to be more right-brained, more emotional, and than logical. But generally speaking, the male human is more logical than he is emotional. So for those guys, they're the ones that have to work really hard at trying to understand how a woman relates to her emotions, because it's so opposite of
But
that.
it's not irrational to choose love.
Right.
That is the rational choice. So when you're choosing to shut that down, you're actually choosing self over love. And the way to win in a relationship for a man, husbands, love your wives.
Mm-hmm.
That's our challenge. In other words, husbands, decide some things in the way you act, react, and interact with your woman.
Right.
You got to decide love.
Right.
You're not going to feel it. You're not going to, it's not going to be natural. You have got to choose it. Why? It's the rational conclusion. Irrational is shutting her down.
Right. Right. Well, if you want a good relationship, if you want to stay married, if you want to.
Well, who wants to be in a bad relationship?
Right. These are just some things that we have to do that maybe don't come natural for us, but we can learn. Like a lot of the stuff we have learned over 40 years. It didn't come natural in the beginning. We didn't know how to do it in the beginning of our relationship, but we read, we learned, we got teaching, we did a lot of self-growth, self-help books, and had our own personal growth so that we could relate to each other, so that we could continue to connect.
80% of the win is awareness.
Yeah.
That's why we do podcasts. That's why we do shorts. That's why we do reels. That's why we have church. That's why we read books. That's why we talk to people that are smarter than us. That's why we observe our own and investigate our own activity, behaviors, thoughts, actions, reactions, interactions. That's why. Why? Awareness.
Right.
If we are humble enough to take what we are becoming aware of and apply it, it's only a 20% exertion.
Yeah.
All the hard work is done by becoming aware.
Right.
Once that happens, just exert a little bit of discipline and devotion and compassion and empathy, and off to the races you go into a happy, harmonious, healthy horizontal.
Right. Because that's called partnership. And that's what we're after. We're a team. We're partners.
All right. So can you go get a win streak going? See you later.
Wow, I really enjoyed today's episode. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, share it, hit the notification bell so you know when the next one's coming at you. Leave a comment down below and make sure you follow Daniele on Instagram and Facebook.